North Korea, officially the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, has been ruled by the Kim family for over 7 decades. Kim Il-sung, the founder of the nation, established a totalitarian regime that permeates every aspect of life. His grandson, Kim Jong-un, continues to maintain this iron grip on power. The government, built on a foundation of communist ideology and the cult of personality surrounding the Kim dynasty, exerts absolute control over its citizens. From the moment they are born, North Koreans are taught to revere the Kim family as gods. Their portraits adorn every public space, and their birthdays are celebrated with elaborate national holidays. This pervasive propaganda instills a deep sense of fear and obedience in the populace, ensuring their unwavering loyalty to the regime. This system, however, comes at a heavy price: the freedom and well-being of the North Korean people. The government dictates every aspect of their lives, from where they work and live to what they eat and believe. This essay aims to offer a glimpse into the reality of daily life in North Korea, behind the curtain of propaganda and secrecy. One of the most striking aspects of life in North Korea is the constant surveillance. The government employs a vast network of informants, known as inminban, who monitor their neighbors and report any suspicious activity. These informants are present in every neighborhood, workplace and social circle, creating an atmosphere of suspicion and distrust. Beyond human surveillance, the government utilizes technology to monitor its citizens. Closed-circuit cameras are ubiquitous, even in private homes, and internet access is heavily restricted and monitored. The government also controls all media, including television, radio and newspapers, ensuring that only state-sanctioned information reaches the public. Any form of dissent, even a whisper of criticism against the regime, can have dire consequences. Punishments range from imprisonment in labor camps to torture and even execution. This constant threat of retribution effectively silences any opposition and creates a climate of fear that permeates every aspect of North Korean society. In North Korea, employment is not a choice but an obligation. Every citizen is assigned a job by the government, regardless of their skills or interests. This system, known as songbun, determines not only a person's occupation but also their social standing and access to opportunities. While the government claims to provide free housing, healthcare and education, the reality is far from ideal. Wages are meager, and most citizens struggle to make ends meet. Food shortages are common, and many rely on the black market to supplement their rations. The conditions in many workplaces are harsh, with long hours, outdated equipment and minimal safety regulations. Workers are often subjected to ideological indoctrination sessions, reinforcing their loyalty to the regime and glorifying the leadership of the Kim family. Food security remains a persistent challenge in North Korea. The country has experienced chronic food shortages for decades, exacerbated by natural disasters, economic mismanagement, and international sanctions. The government's prioritization of military spending over agricultural development has further aggravated the situation. The public distribution system, PDS, responsible for distributing food rations, is plagued by inefficiency and corruption. Rations are often insufficient and of poor quality, leaving many citizens chronically malnourished. The situation is particularly dire in rural areas where access to food is even more limited. The government's response to the food crisis has been inadequate, focusing on propaganda and self-reliance rather than seeking international aid or implementing meaningful economic reforms. As a result, millions of North Koreans continue to suffer from hunger and malnutrition, with children and the elderly being the most vulnerable. Education in North Korea is compulsory and highly centralized, serving as a primary tool for ideological indoctrination. From kindergarten to university, students are bombarded with propaganda glorifying the Kim family, demonizing the West and extolling the virtues of Juche, the country's official ideology of self-reliance. History is rewritten to fit the regime's narrative, portraying North Korea as a victim of foreign aggression and the Kim family as its saviors. Access to outside information is strictly controlled, with foreign books, movies, and music banned. The internet, for the few who have access, is heavily censored. This relentless indoctrination begins at a young age and continues throughout a person's life. It aims to instill unquestioning loyalty to the regime and suppress any critical thinking or independent thought. Entertainment in North Korea is tightly controlled and serves as an extension of the state's propaganda apparatus. Television, radio, and newspapers are all state-run and feature a steady stream of pro-regime content, including documentaries about the Kim family, patriotic songs, and news reports highlighting the country's supposed achievements. Foreign media is strictly prohibited, and possession of unauthorized materials such as South Korean dramas or Western music can result in severe punishment. Even the few approved entertainment options, such as state-sanctioned films and theatrical performances, are infused with political messages and designed to reinforce the regime's ideology. This lack of access to diverse and independent sources of information and entertainment creates a closed-off cultural environment. It limits people's understanding of the outside world and prevents them from experiencing different perspectives and ideas. North Korea boasts of providing free, universal healthcare to its citizens, but the reality is far less rosy. The healthcare system is severely underfunded and ill-equipped to meet the needs of the population. Hospitals and clinics often lack basic medical supplies, essential medications, and reliable electricity. Medical personnel, while trained in the country's ideology, often lack adequate medical training and experience. The situation is particularly dire in rural areas, where access to healthcare is limited and facilities are often rudimentary. While healthcare is technically free, patients are often expected to provide their own medical supplies, such as syringes and bandages, and offer bribes to doctors to ensure adequate care. This creates a two-tiered system where those with connections and resources receive preferential treatment. Freedom of movement is severely restricted in North Korea. Citizens need permission from the government to travel within the country, and unauthorized travel can result in imprisonment or worse. This system is designed to control the movement of people and prevent any potential unrest or dissent. International travel is even more tightly controlled, with only a select few, mostly government officials and loyal citizens, allowed to leave the country. Those who attempt to defect, fleeing to China or South Korea, face immense risks. If caught, they are subject to repatriation and severe punishment, including imprisonment, torture, and even death. This lack of freedom of movement traps North Koreans within their own country, isolating them from the outside world and perpetuating their dependence on the regime. In North Korea, loyalty to the regime is not optional, it is non-negotiable. Any form of dissent, even the slightest hint of criticism against the government or the Kim family, is met with swift and brutal punishment. This zero-tolerance policy towards dissent is ruthlessly enforced through a combination of surveillance, intimidation, and collective punishment. Political prisons, known as Kwanlee-so, are infamous for their horrific conditions. Prisoners endure forced labor, torture, starvation, and summary executions. These camps are not just for those who speak out against the regime, but also for their families, including children and the elderly. This practice of collective punishment serves as a chilling reminder of the consequences of disobedience. The North Korean government's systematic suppression of dissent has created a climate of fear and self-censorship. Citizens know that even a whispered criticism can have devastating consequences, not just for themselves, but for their loved ones as well. This constant threat effectively silences any opposition and ensures the regime's grip on power remains absolute.